Good morning, everybody. It's Joe here from Clipper Street, here to do Crafty Hour number 66. Good morning. Just getting all set up here, getting all revved up to do some card making with everybody. Hello, hello. Good morning. Okay, we got a second device going here. Good morning. Hello, everybody. It's Joe here from Clipper Street. Just getting set up so that we can do our Crafty Hour number 66. And in this Crafty Hour, we are using the 3/4 design Eclectic Clockwork. Such an awesome line. Good morning, Wendy. Hello, hello. Just got on a couple of minutes early so that we can get revved up and raring to go right on time. Hello, Pam from Missouri. Good morning from Langley, British Columbia. Hello, Jenny. Good morning. Oh, I can see the numbers coming on a little bit. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning. Really excited about this Crafty Hour. This is right up my street. This lovely collection from 3/4 Design. I hope, good morning, Star. I hope when you opened it that you got just excited as I did. There's just so much goodness in this kit. Eee! Okay, good morning, Gail. Good morning, Susan. Oh, it's good to see everybody popping on. Even if you're just watching today, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Hello, Linda. Lovely to see you. Good afternoon, Lori from Connecticut. Oh, it's good, always good to see where everybody's from. So, welcome, welcome. I am Joe. I work here at Clipper Street. Good morning, Leslie. You have to do it on replay. Yes, I will happily join you on replay. Hello, Leslie Ann. I know the dies. The dies are so good, Leslie Ann. Oh, what an awesome set. Like, come on. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, you have no leftovers now. Oh, Star, that's amazing. Yeah, I got really excited after I made my few cards here. Courtney and I divided everything up very nicely. We were very amicable about how it was all gonna go. And then I started just loving every paper and every little ephemera thing. So I got an extra pack and I bought the tuck and play cards. I just fell in love with the tuck and play cards. Good morning, Wanda. Good morning. Oh, ooh. Good morning, Arlene. Hello. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say all the good mornings and I'm just going to get right roaring into this. My little clock says that it is 10 a.m. I've got all my little favorite adhesives and things off to the side here. I'm going to see if I got a pen handy for when I write down little things. Hello, Fran. Okay, so I've got my black foam tape. I got my black foam strips. I am notorious for forgetting my foam strips, so very proud of myself. Little pat on the back. But yes, so we're going to dive right into what we need for our first card. And I'm just going to say a little, I love this die set just one more time. I am absolutely obsessed with this little chevron here. Whoa, just obsessed with it. So many useful good dies, and I love how long they are. They are just so useful for so many good things. So many good things. Good morning, Judy. Hello, Lois. Excellent. Hello, Karen. Okay, so kit, all the goodies and all the goodness. They show you all the little papers that are in here and all the little ephemeras. You've got your card bases that are already in there. What is fun about the 3/4 designs and all of what they offer from Australia is that their cards are 4x6. So that's just a different measurement than we normally work in here in North America. So it's just fun to do something a little different. I didn't change any of that. I kept them as is. Look how organized I am. Look how organized I am. I am never this organized. Okay. So I have, this is my card 1. And I have taken one of the landscape card bases and I have jimmied it up a little bit so that it is going to be a gatefold card. There's my little belly band, all this beautiful ephemera goodness comes right off, and then we're going to open it up, and then it's got a flip up in here. Now I didn't over design anything in here. I left it open-ended to the maker in you to finish that off. But I put 2 card bases together there. So if you saw in the homework, we needed a landscape and a vertical card base for our card number 1. So that's going to be our first card. And I've used that chevron die to wrap all the way around and make us a little belly band there. Belly band is such a funny word to me. I don't know why we call it a belly band, but that's what we call it. So that's what I'll call it. So this is where I'm going to start. Hello, Sharon. Good morning. And I'm going to grab all my pieces. We have a little bit of cutting to do after the homework, and we need to grab a sentiment. So I didn't instruct any of that. Courtney is using some of the sentiments as well, as you saw in her homework. But I just kind of want to leave that open-ended to you as well if you want to change that up at all. So here we go. I've got my vertical card base that opens and is tall. And then I've got my landscape one here that opens and it is long, like a hot dog and hamburger. All right, I'm just gonna budge this up here so we can have a little looky here. Thank you, thank you. And I'm gonna grab the papers that I had said that would be for card number 1, and those are those. I've got my black, I used a black foil. I started with a black cardstock and I thought, you know what, let's give this a little shine. Added in a little silver there as well, and I just thought everything kind of went really well with a little bit of shine to it. Okay, here's all my pieces. It just looks like an eruption here. Hold on. All right, let's get some organized chaos. Card bases. I've got my ephemera here in my little baggie. I'm gonna just get everything kind of sames. Black pieces. There's my little chevron strips. Obsessed. Absolutely love these. I just can see myself using those on and on and on. Now these 2 were on a sheet by themselves, and there was just some instruction just to trim those out so that they were ready to go, part of the homework. And then I have a silver and a silver. Let's keep those there. Okay, so I got a little place in the middle here where I can start my process. Pattern papers. So I'm going to start with my card bases. That's what we have to build on. I'm going to open this landscape one up nice and wide, and I'm going to do some scoring. Now I'm going to score this. When you open this up, it is 4 inches by 12, right? Because when it's closed, it's 4 by 6. So when I open it up nice and wide, it is 4 by 12. So that just sort of goes into a little niggle in my mind that says, when I have a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, I can get 4 of these out of a piece of cards, 3 of these out of a piece of cardstock. So, you know, if anything happens to my card base and I don't like it, I can always go to a secondary piece of paper and cut one if I need one. So we're gonna score. I'm just gonna write a little score here. I'm gonna score at 3 inches. Got my little handy dandy Spellbinder trimmer here. And I'm just gonna put it in from one way. I do have a score in the middle. I'm just gonna ignore that for now. And I'm gonna go to the 3-inch mark here. And if you have a scoreboard, you'll just go to the 3-inch mark on your scoreboard. I'm gonna go to the 3-inch mark on my trimmer. And I'm just gonna do a score from the left side of my card base, and then I'm gonna flip it around and I'm gonna do another 3-inch score again from the other side. So it's kind of been divided up now into 4 equal segments here, but I'm just going to ignore that one in the middle. I'm going to ignore it so much that I'm going to take my little folder here and I'm going to press this down a little bit so that it doesn't look so lumpy bumpy. So I'm going to fold in from the left and I'm going to fold in from the right. So I've got my gatefold, and before I press those, I'm just going to make sure that they meet very, very nicely in the middle, and they don't overlap and they don't look crooked, right? So I'm lining up my little points there, and then I'm going to secure that score down with my bone folder, okay? So again, ignoring that one in the middle, because when we add our little adaptation into the inside, that's going to secure everything nice and flat and strong with a whole nother card base on the inside, okay? I'm just going to leave that like that so we can refer to it. So this one can go in here very, very easily. However, I'm going to trim it up a little bit so that it's not butting into the little gutters where the scores are, so that it fits nice and loosely. So I'm going to get my good old guillotine trimmer, and I'm just going to cut off. So we've done our little scores. I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch. Cut, let's see here, 1/4 off top and 1/4 off side. This is a terrible, terrible Sharpie. We will deal with it. When I put this in, it is exactly 4 inches. So I'm just going to budge it over to 3 3/4, just 1/4 of an inch. Whoop. And I'm going to cut the 2 layers at the same time just to get rid of a little bit of bulk that's going to end up on the inside of the card. When I turn it the other way, it's going to go right to the 6 inches. So I'm just going to budge it over 1/4 of an inch at the 5 3/4. Does it have to be a whole 1/4 of an inch? Nah, but that's what we're going to do so that it fits nicely with a little border all the way around on the inside there. All right, just like so. Now, before I dress this up and do anything to it, I'm that person who's just going to put a little bit of black ink around the edges. I've got a little bit of black soot here, Distress Black Soot. Kind of use that all the time just to give a little bit of definition. So I'm just going to go around my edges before I add any layers of paper to the top, to the inside, anything that you would be stamping or doing to address the card. I'm just going to do this first, just so that when I lay it in here, it does show up on white there, that I've got sort of a nice kind of defined edge there. Then it's all ready for dressing. So I'm just going to add a few papers to the top here before I settle it into that gatefold into the other card base. Let's see, I need some black. I need a big piece of black. So this one here is the large one that we had cut for homework. This will be 5.5 by 3.5, 3.5 by 5.5. And I've just used a glossy black here. This is considered a foil. I don't know how you foil a black, but it does have a lovely shine to it, which adds a little snazz around the edges. And then I'm going to take this piece here, and I'm going to cut it so that it fits within this. So I've got my black already cut that was done in the homework. So my pattern paper needs to fit just a little bit smaller inside that black. So I'm just going to write pattern. And that's going to be, that's going to be, we're going to go 3.25 by 5.25. Okay, I find that with working with the 4x6, that the measurements when you're doing different increments always kind of matchy-matchy, which is easy to remember. So I have to look at the paper and decide what I'm going to chop off, what I'm going to keep. I'm not going to get too attached to anything, but I really like the numbers that are on the side here. So I'm going to turn it so that it's upside down so that stays on my platform when I'm cutting. And I'm going to go to the 3/4, 3 1/4. I'm going to cut a long little strip off, just like so. And I'm going to keep the numbers on the platform. I really like those guys. And I'm going to go to 5 1/4. So that should fit. Got my little pile of scraps over there. That should fit into my black, just like so. All right. Now, one other little thing I wanted to add into here was a little bit of a pull-up so that I know that this isn't just a layer within the card, that there's actually maybe something in there that takes the card further. So I took one of the pieces of ephemera, which I have here in my little bag, all organized, and I have chosen this one here. It's like a calendar dial. And I'm just going to cut that in half. I really only need half. So we'll just cut in half. I'm not going to get all fancy-dancy there. And I'm just going to embed this within here. Now, it doesn't stick outside of the card at all. It's just within the layers as far as the edge of the card. So when I close it, I don't see that sticking out. So I will stick down my black one first and then show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to use my liquid Nuvo glue here. This one is, I always keep 2 bottles of Nuvo glue, and one has the fine tip on it and one has just the regular tip on it, just so that I have something ready to go for the fine intricate stuff, and then something ready to go for my kind of normal gluing like this, where I need a little bit extra coming out to get the big layers done. I hope you guys are doing okay. I always hope that I'm not rushing through things too quickly. There we go. So I got that on there. And then I'm going to take this little guy. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue on him. What's good about the liquid glue is that I can budge it around a little bit. Now you can measure and be all fancy with a ruler, or you can just eyeball it and just have that so that it is sticking out right to the edge, just like so. Got a little bit of liquid glue here so I can budge it over if I feel like that is not quite in the middle. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of ink around this edge here on my pattern paper before I put that down. You don't really have to. It does have a very lovely distressed look to it already, so it isn't really necessary, but I just kind of like that cohesive look. And I'll just glue this one on too. So everything on the inside of the card is nice and flat, but adding these layers in does give the inside a little bit of bulk. So if I was just to do a normal gatefold card, it might just want to burst open all the time. But we do have that option to not have the belly band around and then just stick the this grouping of ephemera and things just onto the front. But I find that it would probably just be wanting to burst open all the time. So if we keep it all nice and snug-a-bugga in there, I think that is good for the design. So there we go. There's my little inside flip up, and it's cut smaller so that it will go inside here quite easily without any worry of anything sticking out of the inside of the card. So this just needs to be glued or taped inside, nice and centered in the middle. And so that's when that little score line from the middle of the card doesn't really matter, right? It's nice to use up these card bases that come within the kit. And these ones are a really nice weight. They're nice and sturdy. So we'll use them up. Here we go. Okay, so far we've got our card bases rescored. We've got one of them trimmed up. We've got our black layer that we cut for homework. That was 3.5 by 5.5. And we have layered that up with this amazing textured, distressed, lovely, grungy goodness. With a little bit of a pullout on the inside there so that we have a direction of where to go when we open the card. Okay. You know, and as any card, it will relax. All your folds will relax after they've been sitting for a bit. And then we're going to add some layers on the front as well, which will kind of weight everything down, as well as all of our embellishing. So next we are going to take the other two pieces of black, and we are going to cut some of the pattern that will fit on top of that. And these two pattern pieces were together side by side that you had to cut apart in the kit. So it kind of lends itself to knowing that they're going to go well together. They definitely have a continuous enjoyable pattern that goes across the two of them. I really like the little globe that's on the side there, so I made sure that that was going to be visible. So you have to think about those things when you're cutting. So we're going to need two pieces as well from this one piece. And let me just get my little handy dandy ruler here. I'm trying to remember, it's 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, right? Okay, so we're going to then go down to the halves. So I need two pieces with my terrible Sharpie. I'm going to have to replace this. That is going to be 2.5 by 3.5. Okay, so we need two. And let's just use the guillotine. All right, so like I said, I really like the globe. I'm going to keep the globe, so the globe will get flipped around onto the platform at 2.5. So we can keep that. And we need it to be 3.5. So it is right now 3 3/4-ish. It's got a little bit extra there. Just trim that up. A little bit on the top, a little bit on the bottom. Whatever works for you. I'm just gonna get those, thank you. Stacy saved me from the terrible Sharpie. Okay, second one's gonna go in. Really like this pattern on here, and it's got kind of a little bit of chevron that matches our die cut there, which is good too. I think on this sample I've got it on the bottom here, but I'm gonna put it on the side. 2.5. Oh, no, it's too short. No, it's too short. Don't do what I did. It's too short. It's too short. All right. Well, you know what? I can just fix her up. Let's just fix her up. Okay, so we do need a piece. Sorry, that is 2.5 by 3.5. Let's not let this go downhill now, Joe. Let's see, which direction did this go? It's got to either go one or the other, right? All right. I need it to be just a 1/4 of an inch here. I'm just going to jimmy it up. Jimmy it up and make it look good. It's one of those don't do what I do moments. Sometimes we just have to piece things back together, right? We'll make it work. And it's a lovely distressed design. We don't have to worry so much about it not going together as we reattach things together. So there's our globe. There's our globe. It's got text on it, so it definitely has a direction of upside down, upside right. Right way, wrong way. Just gonna get that on there. Get it nice and straight as it budgies around. It's kind of nice on that slicky foil paper. Just kind of goes where it needs to go. There we go. A little bit of glue there. Next time I just need to measure before cutting. That's the golden rule, right? And I'll just have this one along the bottom here. Will I? Will I? Will I? It's still a little bit too big. Let's just do a little trimmy trim. A little bit of gluey glue. Now, as long as I butt up those edges nice and tight, I'm good to go. I'm not really going to worry about it. There we go. A little fixie. Nobody knows but me and all of you. All right, I'm going to go back to the card that we're building. Just get these over here like this. There we go. And I'm going to get these onto the front. Now these are just going down flat as well. We are not bringing any foam tape to the table yet. I'm going to have this lighter one on the left and the darker one on the right. And this is kind of where the pattern introduces a little bit of brown on this side with that lovely little globe. Here we go. All right, pretty happy there. Looking good. So then we're going to work on this piece here. So we're doing good so far. You did oops. I did oops too. It's all good. We can fix the oops. Oh, I should have just followed the first one, right? But it's all good. It's all good. I've got two there. And I've got my little ephemeras. Love all these little clocks and keys and all the little books and all the little ephemera. And it is truly very eclectic. There's lots of fun stuff in there. The feathers, all sorts of good stuff. All right, so there's two components we're going to take here and we're going to put them together. We've got our little building of all of our ephemera pieces that we're going to do, and then we're going to attach it to this belly band. Now the belly band is made from two of the black chevron dies from the Spellbinders set that was included in the kit, and we're just going to attach them together. And this is just an awesome repetitive pattern that makes it very easy to do something like this, where if you want to use this on a scrapbook layout, you can attach them together and then just have a continuous border on your scrapbook layout as well, or mini books. I just thought this was just the cat's pajamas. I am just obsessed. So, and it really lends itself well to the eclectic design of all the papers as well. So that was kind of the number one for me. Mine looks a little wide. I'm just gonna cut this down just a little bit. I would like it to be just a little bit narrower. As you can see, I've got my strip here with just the border of silver behind it, so it has a really nice shine coming through. The silver is going to be, I think I did it at 1 1/4. I think 1 1/4 might be a little bit too wide when I get that on there. It's got a little bit of a too much border for me. So I'm just going to go to the 1 inch. You can do 1 inch, 1/8, 1 1/8. I'm just going to cut it down to 1 inch. And then I think that will fit on there perfectly with just a little bit of border on either side. Okay, I'm going to put this flat down onto my surface here so the surface can help me get this glued down. Got my connection right there in the middle. And let's get out the fine tip glue here just to help us not get so much oozing. Bottle's not ready. So the silver band, Lucianne, that's going to be 1 inch wide. It's about 11 inches long. I used an 8.5 by 11 piece of foil paper. I know you can get them in the Hunky Dory packs. The one that I have is from a package of Prism foil paper, which was nice. It's got a few sheets in a pack. So there we go. I'm just going to glue all the way down the center and just dot across to get enough to keep that from buckling off. Sometimes gluing on foil is a little bit tricky, but I think you just have to be patient. We all want that instant gratification of slapping down the layer and moving on, but I think if we just be patient and let the glue dry, there we go. We are good. All right, I'm just going to get it lined up there we go. Just on one end, and I'm just going to crawl up to the top so that I'm not getting liquid glue everywhere all over my foil. If you do get a little bit of oozing onto your foil, you can always let that dry and then take that off with a white eraser. There's lots of little tips about getting liquid glue off, but that's the one that I kind of do on a regular basis. Just a little white eraser. All right, I got a little extra here. I'm just going to cut it off so that everything looks nice and tidy from the underneath. And I'm going to leave that and let it dry and just be patient as I start working on my other component here. Looking at the time. It's always a factor in the crafty hours, the time. All right, this little guy we cut out. And sometimes ephemera is not always like a conformed size that is easy to use. Oh, dry baby wipe will also get rid of it. I just think anything that is gentle with a little bit of rubbing will definitely get the liquid glue off, but it's always better to wait for it to dry. So I've got a piece of black here that we had from the homework. I'm trying to remember what size I told you. So 3 1/4 I have by 3 3/4. And I find when I cut that my border all the way around is a little bit big. And so I'm just going to show you a little trick with the trimmer on how to get that just a little bit smaller and a little bit tighter, so it's a little bit more matchy to the rest of the borders that are in the layering of the card. Look at that paper. See, that's really nice on the back. Ooh, ooh, don't fall in love with it, Joe. Just remember it's on the other side. Okay, so there we go. I find it a little bit too big. So when I take my guillotine trimmer, I do this often with pieces of ephemera because they're often really odd sizes. Now I can trim the ephemera. It's a nice frame. So if I trim it though, that might change the centering of the frame. That might change that. So if I put it in my trimmer, and if you have a guillotine trimmer, this is a handy dandy little tip. Your plastic guide that's on the top here, that's a really nice sort of reference place to line things up. So I'm lining up the actual edge of my ephemera to that little plastic guide there. There we go. It's all kind of lined up there. Let's see if I can get this up here to show you. Just all lined up there with the guide, not the edge of the cutting blade, but the actual plastic guide. And then when I hold that down and I trim in the same place all the way around, then I'll have that really nice little border there. It's just easy to sort of conform to the piece of ephemera than trying to put it in a box and make it a particular size. Right? It's just a little bit better than eyeballing, because sometimes my eyeball ain't so good at eyeballing. And then I'll just keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting until I've just got to get another piece of paper. So utilize that little guide on the side there. That gives you a really nice little conformed edge when you have odd shaped, odd sized pieces of ephemera. So that's my base piece, and then I'm going to add in some circles here. I am going to also utilize this half cut one that we did from the beginning when we had our little flip-in piece here. I'm going to use the other half as well. So I've got a couple of circles here. I've got a large one, and I've got a medium-sized one, and then this is potentially my small one, but we're just going to use half. We'll use this as a little guide here to help us get things together. And I do have one more layer here to add to my my piece of ephemera here. So I'm going to do the same thing to get that prepped and ready as well. And yeah, let's get that cut first. We'll get those guys together. Sorry, I'm kind of gone off track here. Let's get back on track. Okay, so a little bit of liquid glue because it's nice and quick. And we'll get that onto here. Again, my piece that I have cut here is not quite a nice, tight, conforming size. So I'm just going to go in to my trimmer here. Just make sure that it's not budging around too much from the liquid glue being a little slippery. And I'm just going to line it up with the guide here and trim around. I might not need to do too much trimming because it looks like it's good. Just a little bit of smidging all the way around just to get it nice and even. There we go. Love the guillotine trimmer. I can just take off the little shimmiest shim. All right, so this is going to be my next layer, and I am going to budget up over the edge here. And I'm going to use kind of this area in here to make sure that everything is straight and lined up. It's got some nice sort of lined up frames in there. That's going to help me. Any little bits and pieces that are kind of leftover little snaggles from popping them out of the ephemera sheets, just want to make sure that those are cleaned up nicely. Any little nubs. So I'm going to glue this one down flat. And again, all of the layering is of course your choice. If you want lots of dimension on the front, you can. And if you're one of those people that needs to have your clock in the right direction, you want your 12 at the top so it's sitting nice and straight, by all means you can do that, or you can just slap her down. So I'm going to put that one down there just to get it in an anchoring spot in the corner. And I'm going to just have that one sticking up over the top, probably about 3/4 of an inch or so, so that this inner part of the framing here is showing a little bit of that text that's in that ephemera. So I'm going to pop that up with some black foam tape. Just gonna cut off a couple of snips here, and I'm gonna put those here and here, just like that. All right, I'm just gonna hover this over here before I get it going. A little bit of glue on the back top right, and that is where I'm going to put this extra little half that we have left over. Just gonna slide it in there, have it sticking out as much as possible, but I have to have it attached in the back by a little bit there, so can budget around and get as much of that circle sticking out. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this side as well, and I'm going to put this circle underneath, kind of in the middle. So everything is offset in a different direction here. So I've got my large going flat onto the bottom here. I've got my small one up in the corner just above, and then I've got my medium one sticking out on the left side. So I can just plop that down, just like so. All right, and the other piece of ephemera that I quite liked was this key. It has quite a nice ornate top on it. So I thought that would look nice going long up the side here on the left. And that's where I can attach any type of sentiment flagging out going into the right direction. So I use the happy birthday. I can cut that there, and we can, where's my sheet with all, there we go. I'll show you which one I used here. There's lots of selection, and I used this one here that is second from the left side, second from the top. So I'm just going to cut into these to grab that. And you can keep the gears attached there, but I trimmed them off just on an angle so that I only had the happy birthday word. But you can definitely leave that on there. It goes with everything that is eclectically gathered for our focal point on the front. It's a nice little thank you that I'm going to end up using for my bonus cards. I'm going to leave that there. So there's my happy birthday. You can leave all of these lovely little goodies kind of hanging off the edge here. I just thought it was a bit too long. The sentiment's what's important for me. I need it to say happy birthday, so I just did a quick little chop off the side here, all in one go, with a little bit of ink on the edge, just to kind of give that some definition. All right, so that little beauty also needs a little bit of foam tape underneath, which is right here. Which is right here. There we go. Little bit of foam tape. Okay, and while it's raring and ready to go, I'm just going to actually put just a little line of glue down the left side there just to add the key. All right, so it just kind of all becomes one piece, and then the key is kind of hugging those little letters there, and that can just go. I can reinforce with a little bit of foam tape on the top of the key so it doesn't get slouchy. We don't need no slouchy keys. And then I'll just line it up there to the side. Yeah. There we go, just kind of in the middle. All right, so there's all my layerings for the front. Obviously, there are lots of choices in the ephemera pack to change them up, add more, add less. So that can very easily just go on the front if I wanted to just attach that as is without the belly band. Right, and then you can very easily then have a card that stands up on its own. Right, it becomes very front heavy, so I decided to add a little belly band on there. And that way, if I wanted to, I can add a couple gift cards on the sides as well and make this the present that is being given with the card. When adding the belly band, I just want to wrap it around and give it some reinforcing to the shape that it needs to be. And I'm just going to do this ever so loosely. I want to be able to take it on and off with ease, so I'm not wrapping it around super tight. And so just to say, it's not going to meet right in the middle, definitely not. But you just kind of want to guide it around without making too much of a fold on the edge. You just kind of want to let it be a little loose. So then it comes on and off a little bit easier. So that's basically where it needs to be. And I did this one flat, but I'm going to add a little bit of sequin tape, score tape to the end here. Get it all ready. This is going to hold it nice and strong. because it's going to be the place where you're kind of pulling and tugging. So you want to make sure that that's going to stay all together. Just get her wrapped around here. So not super tight, hold it loosely, and then I can come in and get this on here, centered. I kind of like having the focal point kind of lifted up a little bit, and within the envelopes that we use in North America for an A2 size card, it would not work just with the length anyway, being 6 inches. So you're probably going to have to go into a bigger envelope, which is good because we've got a nice big lumpy card here. That will be good for a bigger envelope. So that should just loosely come on and off, not too loose, not too tight. And then that allows for the bulk on the inside of the card as well. So that is my card number 1. And my card number 2 is quite quick, I want to say. I say that reluctantly. Well, thank you, Frida. Thank you, thank you. I hope everybody's doing okay. What kind of foam tape am I using? Just the regular one that we normally use from Scrapbook Adhesives, Judy. It's the 54-foot one. It looks like I'm coming close to the end of my journey with this roll. I tend to use a lot of black foam tape doing with darker layers of cards. So. All right, this one's a little bit tighter. But if you didn't want to use the belly band, you can still have a border going across. If you wanted to, you would just keep it from side to side, and then you can glue that focal point into the middle. Only on the one side though, so that you don't glue it shut. That's very important. I did embellish with some of these little silver dots. I wanted to connect either something with the black or the silver onto the front with that little accent. So I was torn. I had black gems, I had black pearls, and then I ended up pulling out the silver ones that I had in my stash, and I went with that. So that is my card number 1. And let's get that down there, and we will move along. Moving along. We've got 15 minutes. I think we're good. I think we're good. This is my card number 2. I told myself, Joe, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to present something that really showcases how lovely this kit is. And I really love the paper in this kit. So I wanted to create something where I actually can see and enjoy the paper. This is very much my style. So I, again, pulled out that chevron die that I am absolutely obsessed with. And I pulled together some of the ephemera just to make a really nice focal point on the front. And again, I love these 4x6 card bases. I think this is a new love for me. So just a very simple card there. I do have a third bonus card to show you, and I will put some instructions into the Crafty Creation group. Yeah, you'll have to go back to your belly band, Wendy. Okay, so here's my card number 2. Very simple. Didn't want to take you down a long journey with a second card because I know I would just run out of time, and I didn't want to stress about the time. I just want to make cards and enjoy ourselves, right? So we don't need to see me. Let's not point that at me. I cut a piece of silver that was 4x6 so that it's going to fit exactly the same size as the front of the card. I quite like the way that looked. And so if you want to trim it so that you have a white border, you're welcome to do that. But I just thought that silver border was a really nice touch. And then pulling in the other little silver bits here, I've got some of that chevron border and then some of my little silver dots that I'm using there as well. So I've got the silver paper, I've got a inside paper because I like to do the insides of my cards, and then I've got my outside paper here. And so I showed all of these in the homework so that you can hunt and gather those. And this ephemera, I tell you, this little frame almost became a shaker for me, because how can you not? That is just dying to be something wonderful. I love working with frames just in general, using them to heighten up different focal points and things. So yeah, this one, you pop something out of it. It had all sorts of ephemera inside of it, but the frame is just a lovely shape with that arch on the top. So we're going to build on this, and we're going to add that into the center of the card. I've used the sentiment congratulations. I pulled in this little C here, C for congratulations, and so that is that is the sentiment that I used. That one's up here for safekeeping. That's where it is. So I'm going to cut that and have that ready, and then we'll just trim up our papers and put this together. Let's use guillotine. Let's use this. So far, I'm very proud of myself. I know where everything is, and I have not made a really sad mess. So doing good. Doing good. So far, so good. Before coming to the table today to do Crafty Hour with you, I was discussing the another Crafty Hour that will be revealed with Deanna, and I will be doing that one as well. Looking forward to that one. That will be revealed tomorrow. Let's get a fresh paper here. Okay, we are good. So there's my congratulations, and I've got some little clock hands. Those were a little tricky to pop out. I had to kind of go in there with my scissors a bit and trim some things up. I've got this clock here, and then of course, as mentioned, I've got the C. And I've got a couple of dies here that I cut out with the Spellbinders set of the chevron. Sorry to be repetitive, but I absolutely fell in love with this. Obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. All right, so good stuff here. Let's get some layers going. I'm just going to attach my silver foil mirror paper onto the front of my card. So you do want to make sure that you are cutting exactly 4 by 6, because that's what size the card is, exactly 4 by 6. So it fits on there absolutely perfectly. Oh, there's my liquid glue. So I'm going to go down a notch for my front pattern paper here, and I'm going to cut that at pattern. That's going to be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Okay, I'm going to keep my numbers. I really like that. Coming down the side there. So that's going to go to the 3 3/4. Just cutting off a little bit. Just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch there. And then I'm going to trim from the top to 5 3/4. So just a little bitty bit again. Just like a little smidgy. So like almost the same, almost the right size for me. You can probably just lay it on there and it would be great. And again, every time I flip over a paper to put on some glue, I hesitate because I love the other side of the paper. Absolutely love it. All right, little silver border all the way around. Looks very snazzy. Very snazzy indeed. So I'll let that sit for a second. Going to add in my inside piece here as well. You can leave it as is, or you can trim it down a little smaller. I really like this size. I'm going to leave it as is. You can have the little X's at the top, have the little X's at the bottom, but I am going to put a little bit of ink around this. Yes, yes I am. Give that edge some definition on that white on white. Is the chevron die still available? The chevron die came with the kit, Tina, so unfortunately it is not in-house because we sold out of kits. There we go. I know, right, Lulu? Don't, oh, see, now look at this side. This is so great. This is just setting up for like a nice focal point on the front to have that as a backdrop. Ooh, gosh. It's going back there. Decisions, decisions, right? Top, bottom, I'm going to go to the top this time. Let's just make it a little bit different than my first one. So there are quite a few of the papers in the kit that definitely have sort of a lighter atmosphere to them. I think they would work really well on the insides of the cards. And their paper has a bit of a coating on it. So if you are using it on the inside of the card, you would definitely need to stamp with, like if you're stamping a sentiment on the inside, or if you're writing something, I would use an archival ink so that it stays permanent, and give it a little heat blast on there. Sometimes coated surfaces are not so easy to stamp on. So there we go. I'm going to let that just sit for a second while we put together our little focal point. So I'm going to start with my my little clock hands here, and I'm going to start with the long one that's going to go up the side. I'm just going to put a tiny little line of glue there, and I'm just going to have it so that it is kind of stretching out the frame just a little bit wider by hanging off the edge a little bit. Just giving that a little bit more to the edge on that side. Well, you guys do what you like. If you want to leave it blank, you leave it blank. That's so funny. I just say use it up. So if you're using it on another card, all the power to you. You're still using it up. I'm going to put a little piece of foam tape here just in the corner so that I can add my clock here, just in the corner. Then if I want to tuck anything underneath it or do anything, I still have some space there. That just allows me a little bit of freedom. I'm going to turn my clock so that the 12 is at the top. Where's the 12? There's the 12. So it is on the clock almost 25 to 11. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of glue here so that I can add the end of this hand here. Now, when I was kind of playing around with all these pieces, I was using some repositionable adhesive so that I could, you know, test things out and pull it apart and then see how I wanted it to go, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it all depends on if you know where you want it to go or if you don't know where you want it to go. So I'm going to put my little clock there in the corner with the other hand pointing in the other direction. I'm going to take my little C. I'm going to put a little bit of glue down here, and I'm just going to shove that so that it's underneath that clock. And it should go under there because I've just got that foam tape in the middle, just like so. So I've got a little cluster now happening in the corner. I'm going to take my congratulations, and I'm just going to nip it into a point. I don't know why I'm going away from the camera, but just going to nip it into a point like that, almost like a little arrow. And I'm going to tuck that with a tiny little line of glue because that congratulations gets really close to the edge there. But I'm going to tuck that under the frame, just right there. So it's under and then over. And that just really, really amplifies the frame and the space that's underneath it. All right, so I've got a little bit of this as well going on up on the top part here. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of this border here from the end so I don't have to really fill around too much. I'm going to take 3 of those little chevron notches. I don't know what to call them, so let's call them chevron notches. Just like so, just little 3 guys. And I'm just going to put a little line of glue just on that bottom long stretch there and just attach it from underneath my congratulations. So I'm kind of committed here to picking a sentiment. If you do not want to be committed to picking a sentiment, you could just put a strip of maybe a little bit of the pattern paper there, something that matches with it, and then you can add a sentiment afterwards. So you can always kind of leave it open-ended if you need to, or you can commit. So my little cluster is going to go here, but I'm going to pop it up with some foam strips. The frame is nice and wide, so I can definitely take some foam tape and probably cut it in half if I needed to, or I can just very easily use some foam strips. All right, top and bottom, and then I can put a little foam tape across the middle, keep it nice and supported. And then we're good. We're good. There we go. All right, I'm going to budge this up into the top area here. And I'm thinking about these sides up here, making sure that it's just kind of evenly proportioned within those 3 sides. Get it nice and centered. We do have a few extra kits, but we don't have the kits that have the die in them. We have the card packs, which is great. And we also have some of the tuck and play cards too, as well. I think we had a couple of 8x8 paper packs as well. Not 100% on that. All right, I've just made a little bit of a stretch of the die down here. And this is a good place if you want to have a secondary sentiment, if you want to add in a little something personal to the congratulations. What is it a congratulations for? Like congratulations on your new job, congratulations, you know, on your promotion, you know, something more personal you can add over top of that. Otherwise, it's just a lovely little border. So I've taken 2 of these and I've kind of zigzagged them across each other. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notches there. That's what we're going to go by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to trim nice and tidy the best I can. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll trim there. And then that's us finished our second card. And then I'll just have a minute here to share with you just a bonus card. And I'll leave instructions for the bonus card with a photo so that if you wanted to create what I've created, muster up some other goodies from the pack. And I did use things and stayed away from what Courtney was using. So I hope. It's hard. So there's my kind of like little embellishment for the bottom area here. And I'll just put a little line of glue there to get that attached. Dun, da, da, da. So that brings me in a little bit of silver, and then including my little silver dots with my little silver layer in the background. It's just a really nice little accent color all around. So there we go. I'll just add 3 little dots onto my little chevron up there. It would make a good retirement card. That's actually a good idea. Yes. You know, and sometimes we need things that have a bit more of a masculine feel to them. Maybe not necessarily for a man, but just for somebody who likes the style, like myself. Like myself. Oh, we do have dies now. See, these are things that I wasn't aware of. Thank you, thank you. So that is my second card. Thank you, Jenny. I do have a bonus card. I'm just going to chat with you just for a second. I know I'm kind of going over here, but you know, I'm sure you'll allow me a little bit. I made a little extra card here. I was thinking maybe to do 3 cards, but then I thought no. And as time goes, it just proves to me 3 cards would have been too much. So I thought, well, let's just show you anyway. We got a little bonus card here. And I did take the extra thank you that I had cut off there, and I ended up making a thank you card. I always need thank you cards. Always, always, always. So I just took one of the vertical card bases. I don't think I'm supposed to take one of the vertical card bases because I got 3 and Courtney got 3 and I've already used 3. So you would need a card base that is 6 by 8 so that you can score that in the middle. And then I've just lopped off a little inch off the one side there. So I've got an opening on the edge that gives me a little peek to more on the inside. That matches the outside. So I just took a piece of embossed white cardstock here, and I put a little brown ink and a little black ink on there together. I really found that those were the colors that were really nicely mixed into the pattern paper. And so I just inked up that guy and just did a little ripping. That's the pattern paper that I used underneath. So everything just went together really, really well. I've got all my pieces in there so I can take some photos of the pieces themselves as well as the ephemera and give you a little list if you want to make an extra card. Okay, everybody? So those are my 3 examples from the 3/4 design Eclectic Clockworks. Thank you all for joining me today. The embossing folder, Kathy, is the Sizzix one, one of the latest vault ones. It's the Vault Gears. It's that multi-level one. Yeah, that's the name of the embossing folder. But any good gear one will work. Anyone with clocks will work. Anything that is kind of matching to this eclectic paper design. Okay? Okay, so thanks for joining me, everybody. Sorry for going over a few minutes, and don't forget to join Courtney this evening. For us here on the Pacific Coast, it is 5 p.m. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to rustle up with all these goodies. I can only imagine there will be splatter. Courtney loves splatter. Okay, take care, and we'll see you here later on today at 2. We've got an extra together at 2 today. Lots of goodies to show you. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye now.